Hello, everybody. It's day 17, which is pretty cool, right? I am sitting in my house. It's Sunday morning. I am feeling really tired and pensive. I did not sleep well last night. But yeah, I'm sort of hanging out here in the house trying to figure out what I'm going to do for the day. And yeah, it's Father's Day. So I'm just going to give a quick shout out to my dad. I love you. My dad has been really supportive of this project, which is really cool. And I know he's been watching. So, hey, Dad, happy Father's Day. So today, I thought I'd talk a little bit about a book I read a while back, which is called First Rate Madness. It's really interesting. I actually read this book prior to my diagnosis, mostly just because I thought it was interesting. And what it is a book about mental illness and leadership and the intersection of those things. And so I thought I'd read a little excerpt from it and talk a little bit about it. So here we go. So most of us make basic and reasonable assumption about sanity. We think it produces good results, and we believe insanity is a problem. This book argues that in at least one vitally important circumstance, insanity produces good results. Insanity is a problem. In times of crisis, we are better off being led by mentally ill leaders than by mentally normal ones. There are different kinds of leadership for different contexts. The non-crisis leader succeeds in ordinary times, but in times of crisis should be kept far away from the scepter of rule. As we'll see, the typical non-crisis leader is idealistic, a bit too optimistic about the world and himself. He is insensitive to suffering, having not suffered much himself. Often he comes from a privileged background that has not been tested by adversity. He thinks himself better than others and fails to see what he has in common with them. His past has served him well, and he seeks to preserve it. He doesn't acclimate well to novelty. We see the non-crisis leader all around us, the CEO, the department chief, your neighbor's boss, the bank president, the president. One more fact. He is quite mentally healthy. He has never suffered from depression or mania or psychosis. He has never seen a psychiatrist. So I have lots of thoughts about that. The first being that I'm imagining that the author probably doesn't have a mental illness or has dealt with mental illness, just from some of the language that's used. But you just never know. I do think that some things that are concerning to me, calling people mentally normal, I don't necessarily like the word normal. I also think that the concept of leadership as solely being masculine is really problematic. And I do think that a lot of people have that as their paradigm for leadership. And in this book, the only leaders that are talked about are men. And I consider myself a leader, and I do not consider myself a man. And so I find that tremendously problematic. That said, I do really enjoy the concept that perhaps there are times when having a mental illness makes one stronger and more effective in their work. And so one of the chapters in this book does talk about bipolar disorder, and it talks about creativity and productivity and how those things can really increase a person's ability to lead and our capacity for leadership. And that's pretty exciting to me. And I do think that there are times where my bipolar disorder makes me a stronger leader. It makes me a stronger worker. It makes me a more creative and more productive person, depending on your definition of productivity. That may or may not jive with you. I also think that one of the other things that the author talks about is this idea that depression makes one more realistic, and that having faced and struggled with adversity makes a person more likely to deal with struggle and adversity in a positive way. And I think those things are valid, and I want to take some more time to examine my own life and to examine the lives of others. I will say, and if for some reason ever the author comes upon this blog, and here's what I have to say. FYI, leaders are not just men. Um, and the idea of calling somebody normal or not normal is really a problem. But I appreciate your use of mental illness as that as part of language, and I do appreciate looking at leadership and looking at the things that may be really valuable, because I don't think that mental illness is completely invaluable in a person's life. And yeah, I'm going to spend some more time thinking about that, and I'm going to spend some more time analyzing my own experiences, and I'll probably talk about it as I think about it. So, yeah, that's my morning. And you may have heard the beeping in the background as I've been talking. I've got some food in the oven, so I'm going to go and get it out and hopefully have some really good brunch. So have a great Sunday, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.